And we are live. Going through a slight withdrawal. No football for a couple days, but we are back tomorrow as we're taping this. We are now into the quarterfinals. What's going on? This is Stoppage Time FC. Stoppage Time Football Club is the Facebook group. If you're watching this, you should be subscribed to the YouTube already. Notifications on. Hey Jude, Joe, Hakimi Ziyech, Zach, and of course, Diego Maradona is here. Fellas, we are now to the quarterfinal. We're going to predict the rest of the tournament. We may come back next Wednesday when we know the actual final. I think it would be appropriate to come back next Wednesday for the final. But before we get into our predictions and analysis, thoughts now as we've gone from 16 to 8. So I'll start with Hey Jude, Joe. Great group stage, but now we're really, we're getting to the big time here. So talk about thoughts on how the round of 16 went, and did it go about how you thought?
Outside of one match, we pretty much got chalk for the most part going through. So the cream kind of rose to the top here in the round of 16. The big countries did what they normally do and expected to do, and pulled through and got big wins. So it was disappointing on the U.S. side that they chose the biggest match of the tournament to have their worst, pretty much to have their worst defensive showing. They had 3 lapses in concentration, pretty much. In Netherlands were clinical and finished and punished them when that happened, and that kind of shows the difference in quality that they have in front of goal compared to what the U.S. were running. So wish it was something different, but it gives us something to work towards and kind of highlights what we need to improve upon going forward and getting ready to host the 2026 World Cup. Brazil was super impressive to me. They look like the favorites going forward, and I'm excited to watch their matchup coming up and hopefully see what happens in our maybe semifinal between them and Argentina, depending on how things fall.
Zach, Your thoughts on the round of 16?
I wanted more drama. And it just seemed like the things that were supposed to happen happened. If it wasn't for two penalty shootouts that both produced goalkeepers producing 3 saves, it really would have been a rather boring round of 16. So I guess, from a fan's perspective, it was good football. It was the teams that should have won, but when you no longer have a dog in the fight, you all, I think, inherently always root for chaos. So selfishly, I think that's where my head went. The U.S. match was dreadful, and I could probably spend an entire blue versus blue podcast on everything that went wrong there. But other than that, I mean, I really liked what I saw from Brazil. I really liked what I saw from France. And other than those 2 teams, I think, other than Morocco, I thought Morocco looked really damn good. I was left wanting more from all of them.
To piggyback a little bit on those PKs, man, like the quality of some of the takes from the Spanish side and the Japanese side was just not very
dreadful
at all. It was the keepers made the saves, but they weren't spectacular ones by any means. Mm-hmm. And you could just tell when both of those nations came up to the spot that it was in their heads. You could tell with every Japanese player that went up there and every Spanish player that went up there, they just did not look comfortable. Morocco, to their credit, they all walked up there knowing that they were going to hit the back of the net. You could just see it in their body language and their confidence. And even in the pre-game, like pre-PK huddles, you could see the energy level. And the Moroccan team was just there, in the Spanish side just kind of not there either. So it was disappointing that the quality was not as good as it could have been.
Diego, round of 16 thoughts.
Start with a couple of the surprises. I was a little bit surprised by the result of the Portugal game. I think I wasn't expecting them to put up 6 goals. I also thought that it was a possibility that I thought that the Brazil attack had one of these 4 or 5 goal games in them. I didn't think it would come in this first game, but it was over after the first half. They had 4 right off the bat, and you saw it in the body language. You saw it coming out in the start of the second half that they had already beaten that Korean team. The PKs, I agree with what you guys said. Lack of conviction on the takes. And but I think also not to downplay the keepers. I think they were fantastic, and I think it's been a lot of drama in just these first round of games, and we'll see coming up. Argentina got the job done. It wasn't pretty. I knew it wasn't going to be pretty. It was going to be very much a tight game with Australia, who are very good defensively, and the Netherlands and US. I think the US had a little. I think they could have obviously played a little bit better game, and with a team like Netherlands, any little minor mistake they'll take advantage of and make you pay for it. Now, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, when you look at that U.S. game, like I knew instantly after Pulisic missed the chance inside 3 minutes, I was like, if this is the tone, they're done. Because if you're going to miss a one-on-one chance against a keeper inside 3 minutes, that you as a top tier professional, because that's what Pulisic is. If you don't bury those, if you don't finish those, then you're on the wrong foot already. And
yeah, if he would have capitalized on that opportunity, it would have completely changed their chemistry, their demeanor for the rest of the game. Would have created more momentum for them, and then who knows what would have happened. But hey, shoulda, coulda, woulda. That wasn't the case. Still, it was early on, so I think it shouldn't have created that much of a letdown in their chemistry and their game plan. Had that opportunity come later in the game, then, because if the game continues, they're down 0-1, you tie the game up, then it changes the game a little bit. But I was going to say, Joe mentioned the 2026. I read that 2024 Copa America also in the United States. So that's another big tournament for the United States. I love that they're going to be invited to the tournament. I think for the US to continue to grow, these are the kind of tournaments that they should be involved with, playing much, we'll call it better talent. I don't want to knock on the CONCACAF, but from a perspective of you want to compete in the round of 16, get to the World Cup, play in the quarterfinals. These are the kind of teams that you're going to have to meet up against and learn from. So I love that they're going to be in that tournament, and hopefully hop on some tickets and watch some of those games. We'll see what the host cities will be, if I'll have the opportunity or not, but we can have a stoppage time get together at a Copa America game.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I thought with the round of 16, it reminded me a lot of like the NCAA tournament, where it's a lot of, you have some upsets the first 2 rounds, like, oh, and then when we get to like the Elite 8, the quality kind of kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, it was cute that St. Mary's beat Virginia in round 1, but now you're gonna play Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now you're gonna play Arizona. Now this is where it separates. But what it does set up, and let's get into it, there are some really, like, if you are here for narratives, if you are here for storyline, if you are here for football Twitter going wild, these quarterfinals set up. And let's start with Argentina, tomorrow's quarters, which will be the top half of the bracket. We have Brazil, and so just refresh me on the matchups.
We got Brazil and Croatia at 10 a.m. tomorrow in Eastern time, and then Argentina against Netherlands at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
So you could put these as my prediction, because I'm here for the story. Argentina, Brazil is what I really want. Like, it's nothing against their opponents, but Argentina, Brazil in a World Cup semi is what I'm here for. I am here for Messi versus Neymar. You have the 2 most powerful footballing nations in South America, 2 historically great countries in this. So, obviously anything can happen, but we've seen Messi at 35 really, I'm not going to say he's turned on another gear, but he's looked more like the Barcelona Messi in this tournament than PSG Messi. Neymar, and then Brazil has played some beautiful football the first 4 matches.
Since you brought up that, I just want to talk about that one link up with Richarlison and Thiago Silva. That little 1-2-3 combo for Richarlison's goal was probably one of the most beautiful link up plays I've seen in a long time. And that's what I love about the beautiful game. And like those plays right there make an entire tournament worth it.
Absolutely.
And and that's I guess that's why some people like buzzer beaters in the the NCAA tournament and the Hail Mary. But for me, those link up plays, those quick, decisive, those make tournaments for me.
They are, this. I mean, they don't have. They have Neymar, but the rest of the Brazilian team is not the level of Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, those days. But they play just absolutely gorgeous football.
It's hard. It's hard, that 2002 team. It's hard to compare this squad to that squad. You have Kaká was a Ballon d'Or winner, Ronaldinho Ballon d'Or winner, Ronaldo Ballon d'Or winner, Rivaldo Ballon d'Or winner. 4 Ballon d'Or winners and one team. That 2002 Brazil championship team is the gold standard for World Cup. I know that the 70 Brazil team with Pelé that won in Mexico was deemed as one of the best teams in the history of the game. But you put up that, I don't know, you'd have to compare. It'd be hard, but I'm taking 2002. I wasn't around to see the 70 Pelé squad.
But this current Brazil team, I think, it maybe not the star power, but they play. And, it's cool. They got the yellow jerseys. Like they're just different. And I think they've looked the part. I think a lot of people weren't sure about Brazil. They didn't take Bobby Firmino. They didn't take a couple of guys, but they've looked every bit of what prime Brazil looks like. And I think even though Croatia, I know Zach has been really big on Croatia since the start of the tournament. I think Croatia has the experience. They can make it difficult on Brazil for maybe a half. I think Brazil is too much quality in the end, and eventually they get past them. Joe, Zach, jump in with that about Brazil or just the top half of that bracket period.
Go ahead, Zach. I have some thought. I was going to ask you a couple of questions on what Croatia has to do to counteract the firepower that Brazil has.
Yeah, that's actually a good thought because
Park the bus.
And that's unfortunately it's got a lot of truth to it. I've always and like Ronnie said, like I've always liked this Croatia team. I thought that they were very underrated for a team that was in the final in the last World Cup, and got a lot of almost disrespect going into this tournament. But they have a world-class midfield. They have a very good defense, and their keeper's been, Linkovic has been playing brilliantly. However, they're not clinical in front of the net, and they haven't been scoring the goals. They've been grinding it out, and unfortunately, when you go through 3 group matches and then a round of 16 match, and you have to grind out all those results, your team's going to be tired. And you saw it. They substituted Luka Modric out of that game. They substituted Mateo Kovacic out of that game. Like those are 2 of your most critical, players, and you're subbing them out at the end of this match. And I don't. You can't do that against Brazil. Yarvidal is probably in the running for young player of the tournament. I know Gakpo, is I mean he will probably take it unless they give it to trying to think. Mbappe doesn't qualify anymore. But regardless, that Diego's right. They're gonna have to play so far back in their own half, and play that counterattacking style, which they've subbed on Pasalic, an ex-Chelsea kid who's been playing in Italy. He needs to start because he's got that counterattacking ability. And he made the winning PK against Japan. So I'd like to see him start if Croatia wants to win this match, but I don't think it's going to be enough. In the words of Jimmy Pujols, we're not taking any amount of money on minus 800 Brazil because that's they're minus 800 for a reason. So
yeah.
Question, just to confirm, yellow cards, you got a clean slate going into quarterfinals, correct?
that's what I'm understanding as well.
Yeah.
I believe that's the case.
Clean slate.
But it carries over into the finals, I think.
Diego,
So
yeah. Go ahead and finish.
If I'm Croatia, I do not try to play Brazil's game, and you're interrupting every single second you can, whether it's a grab of a jersey, take the cards, take turns fouling Vinicius and Neymar. Just you have to break up their play. If you I feel that if any team allows Brazil to fluidly go through their samba routine, Joga Bonito will kill them, unfortunately. So we'll see how it plays out. But I wanted to clarify because I'm thinking that's Croatia's probably best bet, and then do what they can keeping the ball from Brazil in the midfield.
Yeah, I'm going to Joe, but I'm with you. I think you have to use every foul. If you get fouled, roll over 6 times.
Yeah.
Game
Hold on to
management.
that ball while you're rolling.
Game management is going to come into
Game
play.
management, please. Joe, what was you gonna say?
I was gonna say in our comments, Ryan, our buddy Ryan said you can't miss your chances versus Brazil, and that's going to be super critical for Croatia to stay in the match when they get a chance or two, because they're probably not going to have a whole lot. Because as beautiful as the football Brazil plays, they are very stingy defensively too, and they have some really quality center backs, and their only, I guess, weak point maybe their fullbacks, and that might be where you try to attack them a little bit. But they're going to have to finish whatever chances that they do get, and kind of hopefully maybe score first to put a little bit more pressure on Brazil. But I can't see Brazil losing this game either.
Yeah. So now, on the same side, we have Argentina and the Netherlands.
Let's go.
I know the Netherlands. I know it was 3-1. I thought it was really more product of how poorly the United States played than necessarily the Netherlands running them off the pitch. I just don't see it again, man. I think I'm going to be proven right. I just really don't think the Netherlands are that good. I really don't. And I think Argentina, yes, it's messy, but they have other players. I just don't see the Netherlands as. Give me Argentina, maybe 2-0. I'm just not impressed with the Netherlands. I haven't been the whole tournament.
Let's say that's Messi that ball falls to instead of Pulisic. That's 1-0 USA. Let's say it's Julian Alvarez that has a one-on-one with the keeper instead of Haji Wright. He's not going to take his first touch 10 yards away, going away from the keeper. He's going to bury that chance too. So I think Argentina's attack is clearly miles better than the U.S. And as stingy as the Netherlands defense has been, they're not going to be playing against the likes of Haji Wright and Jesus Ferreira up top. It's going to be a different monster having to control. Hopefully, because Alvarez scored again last game, he gets to start again, and Messi and Angel Di Maria and all the guys that Argentina has to run out there. So I think Argentina wins. I don't think it's a massive victory. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, because I think Van Dijk and Ake and Timber have been strong in the back, but they did let the U.S., who are not known for scoring a lot of goals, have some really quality chances, and we just didn't finish them. So I think if that situation happens again, Argentina won't be poor at finishing, and they'll finish chances. So I see Argentina winning.
Go ahead, Diego. You can continue the narrative.
I think it's going to be a very close game. The Dutch are very disciplined in each sector of the field, and it's going to take a very good game for Argentina being very disciplined, not having a lot of turnovers. The midfield has not been confirmed yet. I know read reports Di Maria has been practicing with the squad, and same with DePaul, who was suffering some muscle issue. I don't know if it was a quad or hamstring. Hopefully they are in the lineup. I would like to see Di Maria back in. I think he provides that one-on-one threat in the flank and creates a lot of opportunities. And Joe, I think Alvarez will get another start. He has, I think you have to, because he is in rhythm. Martinez is not in rhythm. Martinez is the second leading scorer for Argentina through the Scaloni era, behind Messi. So he has done a lot for this team, but at this moment in time, I think you go with Alvarez, who is playing at a very high level, and Argentina and the Dutch have a lot of history. 78 World Cup final versus the Dutch and Argentina. Argentina wins. Play again, I believe the next time they met each other was in 98, where Bergkamp had that wonderful goal to qualify to the next round. And then I don't think they met up again until 2006 in the group stage. I think that ended up in a tie. And then we have the semis in Brazil, where I think that game going into PKs left, I think the only player that I can remember, I think Blin is the only one from that squad that is still in the Dutch national team. So they want that one back. And I think there's a couple guys from Argentina squad that played in that game too. So there's a lot riding. There's a lot of history with these two teams. And well, to be quite frank, Van Gaal has been talking some smack. So he just doesn't know how to close his mouth and just coach. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be a great matchup. I see it being, my prediction is Argentina, but only winning by I'm going to go with a 2-1 margin.
So as much as I would love to agree with you, Ronnie, that I think it was more the US's downplay than the Netherlands being successful. I was naive enough to, downplay their lack of convincing nature in group stages. What I saw in that round of 16 match was a team that was precise. They were clinical. They were decisive. And even though they did not control possession, I never once felt like the United States was in control of that match.
That was definitely their game plan for sure.
And they're going to get, I would imagine De Ligt would be back starting again, because De Jong played, but De Ligt didn't, right? Or he came in on as a sub.
He subbed in for Timber towards the end.
Right.
It's our game.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Timber slide out wide and replace Blind and have De Ligt in that back three, or Ake. One of them will probably slide out wide, just due to the fact that you have to respect Argentina's attack a little bit more than what you did against the US. They're going to make this a hell of a match. And up until, I don't know, 43 minutes ago, I was very heavy on Argentina. And just the more and more I think about it, the more and more I replay that round of 16 match, the more I'm inclined to ride the Dutch wave and ride the orange. This team has this almost grungy persona. The Dutch have never won. They've never won a World Cup. And so that is definitely very prominent in their minds, and it's something that constantly gets thrown in their face. And you look at that team, that the Bergkamp and them, Seedorf, and
Mm.
how did that team never win? Now, granted, they had to go against teams like Brazil and France and Argentina then, but so much talent, so much talent.
Yeah, in the 80s and early 90s, they had Marco van Basten, Rijkaard, Ruud Gullit, and Ruud Gullit was a Ballon d'Or winner, teammates with Rijkaard and AC Milan, one of the best teams of Rigo Sacchi's AC Milan squads, and couldn't get it done. So it is unfortunate for the Dutch. They've had such a big influence on football as we know today, and you would think, you'd kind of scratch your head. You're like, a country who provides so much, and their philosophy, thanks to Johan Cruyff, Barcelona is the Barcelona and plays the way they play, but yet they've never won. And it is hard to understand. But Zeg, I want to go back to a point that I forgot to mention. The Dutch, really good defensively. They have monsters in the back. But I want to highlight that I think Otamendi is being overseen in his performances in this World Cup. I think Otamendi has been phenomenal for the Argentina's defense, and his partnership back there with Romero, they are doing a fantastic job. Scaloni in the Australia match even had Acuna, who had a fantastic game, come off. And I know Lisandro Martinez is playing center back for Manchester United, but moved him to a left back and responded fantastically. I think what he was looking for there was another out on that flank with a natural left-footed player. I know Martinez had kind of naturally came out of his position to play that left back, but I think that I like what Argentina has set up defensively, and I think the way they're going to play is same way they came out with Molina, Romero, Otamendi, and Cunha as their back line. So I think I like our chances in holding the Dutch attack.
I will say that if Denzel Dumfries has another game like he did against the US, then that would boost the Netherlands' chances. He didn't really need to worry too much, which is saying something about the wingers he was going up against. But that man had 2 assists and a goal, and he was, to me, the best player that Netherlands had at that game. He was wonderful. He shut down everything on his side, and he provided so much going forward for them that that he was giving Anthony Robinson headaches all game. Not to bring up your boy in his first touch, but
Acuna is gonna have his hand full, definitely.
So we got.
I think the one thing that the Argentina team, just in general, is one, defensively they're much more sound than what the United States team is. 2, they are much better on set pieces, and that alone is going to level the playing field a lot, because every time the Dutch had any type of set piece, I was on the edge of my seat, like cringing, because it's a big worry. It's the same feeling I get when I watch Chelsea. It's annoying, but that's going to be a huge advantage for Argentina is because they can level that playing field. Now it's going to come down to who's going to be the bigger playmaker, who's going to take the game over and make that change and make that next level move. And like Joe just said, if Dumfries has any stretch of the game that he had against the United States, that side of the pitch is going to be in for a long night.
I'm worrying. I'm praying every corner, every foul. Argentina's going to want to avoid those opportunities because when Van Dijk goes up, I don't know who's going to guard Van Dijk, to be quite honest. Even if Otamendi matches up with Van Dijk on any set pieces, it's going to be a tough battle.
So we got 4 votes for Brazil. So 3 for Argentina. Zach holds on to the Netherlands. So let's go to the bottom half of the bracket. And I'm going to start with, so Morocco, Portugal, I think comes down to simply this. Can Morocco score? Morocco is a very well-organized defense. I don't know if they can score. I think Portugal, we now have a new hero, Cangalo Ramos, with the hat trick. The second youngest player to get a hat trick in the knockout since Pele. I think Portugal just will create. It'll be one of those games where Morocco just kind of holds them off, and eventually just one gets through. So I'll take Portugal in a pretty tightly contested one 1-0 because I just don't see what Morocco scores.
Yeah, Morocco has yet to allow a goal from open play in the tournament. So they've been the best defense so far.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
What, and I'm gonna butcher the hell out of his name, but what Walid Ragui, whatever their head coach's name is, what he's done in such a short amount of time with that team is nothing short of utter brilliance. And tip of the cap to you, because wow, I knew Morocco was a good side, and I knew that when Ziyech decided and confirmed that he would be back, that they would be dangerous. But even I didn't see this, and Amrabat looks like his 20-year-old self, like terrorizing teams and just all over the pitch. So it's going to be a match. It's going to be a match for sure. I'm gonna take Portugal, but I'm not real confident in that. I'd like to see Leao get another goal, and that man's always smiling. The one thing I've noticed about Leao is he's always smiling. He's a lot like Conte. You always see him happy. And I like that out of players. I like seeing the joy while they play. So give me Portugal, but not by much.
We've gotten a half hour, 35 minutes into the show, and we haven't even mentioned CR7.
He who will not be named.
We haven't even talked about him yet. There's no discussion so far. His name wasn't even brought up. So it was nice to see Portugal finally kind of put together that kind of performance where they put up 6 goals and looked fluid and looked dangerous. And even though Ramos put up 3, Bruno Fernandes, as much as it pains me to say it, has been fantastic for Portugal. Yeah.
Bruno had a really good tournament.
He's been great. Him and Bernardo Silva have just been bossing the midfield for them. And I think the Morocco story is great. Like you said, they were in turmoil not too long ago, and to see them pull through and just see the spirit that they have coming, it's really nice to see that kind of togetherness out of a club and for their country. And it's a great story. I think Portugal just has a little bit too much for them. I can definitely see a 1-0 type of situation happening because Morocco's defense is so solid. So I think it's tight the whole way though, and it comes down to the final minutes. But I think Portugal pulls it out in 90.
CR7 gets subbed on in the 89th minute and then scores a stoppage time winner. And could you just imagine the media just tearing this apart if that happens? I can see it now. Ronaldo saves Portugal.
You
joke, but that's Ronaldo's
Hey.
stories. That's
Mhm.
what he does. He loves
Yeah.
those moments.
You could see that. It's 0-0. It's 15 minutes to play.
Throw them on.
Throw them all.
Mhm.
Corner jumps up above
Well,
everybody, put a header into
So
the
that was my question. Do you guys think he starts, or do you think he comes off the bench again?
I think he's
Yeah.
on the bench again. I don't think you can sit somebody who just had a hat trick at this point.
That would
No,
be. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think you bring in Ronaldo in the second half, and depending on where the game is at, he may give you that goal you need, or he closes it out for you. I think that's kind of the strategy with Ronaldo. Keep him fresh.
All right. So that's.
Or you forgot the last part, or he has a complete utter meltdown and he doesn't track back, and Morocco end up scoring in stoppage time. That is also a possibility.
Also.
Yeah, I think Portugal does win it. I think they have a lot of confidence coming into this game. Both teams have confidence. Don't get me wrong. Both teams have a lot of confidence. But I think those 6 goals really, really boosted the Portuguese offense. And yeah, I think they have a lot of firepower in different positions. So for those reasons, I take Portugal. Maybe not a huge margin, 1-0, maybe 2-0, but no more than that. I think Morocco's defense has been extremely solid, and I hope they continue that.
Now for the fourth and final quarterfinal, and I think
France.
Well, forget my dramatic build up. I am taking France in this, but this is going to be. I think this one goes to extra time. I don't think this is going to get solved in 90. And it's just going to be a matter of, I think if Mbappe just pulls something out of the bag, because he's the best player on the pitch. I think he just pulls something out of the bag. But I think this is your extra time. I think this is a 2:00 match on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it might be almost dark here when we figure out who wins. But give me France by a hair.
Zach, I think we know who you're picking.
So you know how Ronnie has not been convinced with the Netherlands. I have not been convinced with England. Other than that 6-1 matchup against Iran early in the year or early in the group stage, there's nothing about their play that has been so overwhelming that I thought that they were going to make a deep run. They're sure as hell not beating a side like Brazil. I don't see them beating either the Netherlands or Argentina. And, shout out to Ryan in the comments. My boy, Olivier Giroud and his 42 pace on FIFA 23. Death, taxes, and Giroud scoring goals. I don't think this is going to be a close match. Give me France 3-1.
Joe?
So there are 5 City players on England's roster. So the Mavor house is definitely pulling a bit for England. I think Kyle Walker is going to give Mbappe a much better test than anybody he's faced yet. If anybody has the speed and physicality to keep up with Mbappe and slow him down a bit, it's him. When they have faced before in Champions League matchup with PSG, he's done well, and Mbappe hasn't done a whole lot with Kyle on the pitch. It was kind of the same thing with when Vinicius was out there and Kyle was out there. He didn't do anything. He scored all of his goals when Kyle was not on the pitch. And I think that I am going with England in this one. In a close game, Definitely not going to be a blowout by any means for either team, I don't think. But I think England is going to end France's run, and I don't think we're going to be seeing a repeat champion. We have yet to see that. So I think this is when France goes out and we see England progress into the semifinals. I'm going against the grain.
Shout
Diego.
out to Diego for not having him out of the group, by the way.
The what? Sorry.
I said shout out to Diego for not having him even advancing out of the group, by the way.
I thought the curse. I believed in the curse, right?
Yeah.
The curse.
Yeah.
That curse has been real,
Yeah.
but they broke it. Mbappe and Giroud broke the curse. So props to them. I think France does win. I think it's going to be a very close game. I can see it being kind of a scoring affair. I for some reason my heart tells me that attack with Harry Kane, Bellingham, Saka, Foden, Sterling if he comes off the bench, Rashford, I think it comes through. I really think they will test the French defense. I think they have enough talent to do so. Now the question is on the other side. Can Walker, Stones, Maguire, and company slow down Giroud, Griezmann, and Mbappe? I don't know. But the battle is definitely going to be in the midfield because I think that's where England may have a little bit of an edge, if any. But the French are I think they're just too complete in each sector that it will take them through. I think the French do win and will have enough. I really like is it Chouameni? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Chouameni.
I have not seen him play a whole lot. Going into this tournament, I'll be honest, I did not really know much about him, but he has really, really impressed me. I think he's a really good talent and has been really crucial for the French side. So, unfortunately, Conte.
Wounds, Diego. I've been preaching Chouameni to come to Chelsea for many years now, and he's finally in that limelight now in Madrid and it's in France and the dude he's so good, so underrated. He reminds me so much of N'Golo Kante.
He runs forever. He's all over the place. He has been involved in so much in the French buildup, and he's been a crucial part for him in that midfield. So I was really impressed with watching him play, and so we'll see. I could also see this game going into overtime because it'll be so heated of a battle. But I don't know. My heart does tell me that France will make it through, but I want to throw this out there because I think, like Ronnie was talking about before, getting the Argentina-Brazil semifinals, what the world would want. That's what the world media would want. Let me add one, Ronnie. Portugal make it through to the final. Argentina makes it through to the final. We have a Messi CR7 World Cup final to end it. They're both finishing their careers here. I just want to throw that one out there. Let that one sink in.
No, let's keep that because we're gonna come back Wednesday for like the World Cup final preview. So your point leads us right here. We're gonna go ahead and pick who's gonna put the semifinals and who will be playing. So based on our votes, now we got our individual votes, but the majority rules right now, it would be Argentina, Brazil, Portugal, France.
That's a hell of a Final Four right there.
That's a big league Final Four.
Yep.
Again, so I've
And we got a Europe. I'm have an inclination that it'll be a South America versus European final.
Okay. My heart, not even my heart. My initial thought is Brazil, France, part 2. That's my initial thought. However, I think the old fella finds a way. I just really think it's his time to at least make a World Cup final. So initially, Brazil, France, but I'm going to pick on record Argentina, France.
I think Zach froze on us a little bit there.
Zach froze on us. So Zach,
That's a great picture too. He froze. That was fantastic.
Joe.
Yes, sir.
Going to be playing in the final when we come back here next Wednesday night.
What
final are we previewing?
If our predictions hold true and it's France, Portugal, Brazil, Argentina, based on form, Brazil is the favorite. I picked Argentina before the tournament started, and I'm not going to change on that one. I think we see a repeat of the Copa. Was it Copa America, Diego, where they played in the final?
Mm-hmm.
And Argentina won. I think Argentina wins that one. And I would be taking in a matchup between Portugal and France. I would be taking Portugal in that matchup because I have England going through against Portugal, and I think Portugal is too much for England. But I think Portugal goes through in that matchup, and we are seeing the matchup that we all would love to see, and the media would love to see and run with and have stories for days, and Twitter blowing up and Instagram blowing up with memes and photos of Messi and Ronaldo back and forth. That would be really interesting to see if he makes it to the final. And then do you sit him in that situation, or are you actually going to let him start?
Yep.
That's getting ahead of ourselves, I think. But it means that there's so many storylines that would go for that. That would give us endless amount of talk in the group.
You can't start him. If you sit him in the round of the 8, you can't sit him.
You know what?
You can't start him in the final if they make it there.
For our purposes, strictly for stoppage time FC purposes, a Portugal-Argentina final would absolutely be the best thing ever.
It would blow up the internet. You know?
Yeah, we talked about
if a Louis Vuitton photo blew up the internet with those two, could you imagine them two in a World Cup final? I mean, just snap the picture of them at the coin toss, and you get more likes than that Louis Vuitton photo.
It would be, and this is why I hope for it. If that's the final, Zach always talks about the ratings that the Champions League final does versus like the Super Bowl. A Ronaldo versus Messi World Cup final obliterates every sports TV rating record known to man.
We like
Absolutely
to talk.
Agree with that.
We like to not. We don't like to, but we see a lot of the Jordan versus LeBron. Who's the best conversation?
This would be it.
This would be the Ronaldo Messi conversation is massive across the world. Everybody's got who they like the best. That whole conversation would be unbearable for a few days for sure. And whoever came out on top would have bragging rights going forward.
Forever.
Forever.
They're never playing another international competition again. So
it would be like, and I always refer to it because it was on Copa 90. It's the greatest football documentary ever done. This is the level of Boca Juniors River Plate in the Super Classico. It's that level because you have the two biggest groups of. I don't like to use the word. I'm going to use it, but I don't like to use it. the two biggest groups of fanboys in the history of planet Earth collide.
Mhm.
And basically the two biggest stars in the history of the sport.
Okay.
So-
Time out. Let's backtrack here for a second because I
Yes,
know I
ma'am.
was frozen. I was frozen for a second.
Yeah.
Did we
You had
make
something
it?
good to say too, based on your face. So
Did we make a consensus group, or are we going off of what we want?
I'm sticking with my Argentina versus France pick. That is my on the record pick for the final.
Argentina versus France. Okay.
Yeah.
I had
Your
Argentina. I had
Argentina versus
Portugal, based
Portugal.
on the consensus Final Four.
I know Diego's picking Argentina, so it looks like it doesn't matter what I pick over there.
Well, I originally, in my predictions, and I sent those over to you, Zach, I originally had Argentina, England in the final, because as
Mhm.
everyone knows, I did not have France advancing. I have now changed that because I think France will go through in that game versus England, and I'm gonna follow our fellows here with France and Argentina in the final. I think that's a good pick there.
Well, I do have France. And can we just talk about the fact that if France was fully healthy and Camavinga wasn't an idiot and injured in Cuckoo, and Benzema doesn't pick up that injury, and Hernandez doesn't tear his ACL. Now, I get it. We can play the what if game forever.
We could
And
definitely
Conte's in the World Cup.
if
And Pogba, like
France
that
and
French
Pogba.
team.
if
Ooh.
France with Conte, Pogba, and Benzema healthy, we wouldn't even need to do this show.
Yeah, let's just get on with the final, right?
So Zach,
Um,
so are you taking Argentina, France for the final?
only because I have to, because I'm being overruled.
No, individual pick.
Me personally, I'm picking Brazil. If it's Brazil, Argentina, I'm picking Brazil. France is my pick on that side. I think Joe's city bias is getting the best of him between England and Portugal and Argentina.
We'll
But
see.
yeah, we will.
That's why they play the games, baby.
It is why they play the
Gotta
game.
play the games. Mm-hmm.
So next,
But
go ahead, Zach. Go
yeah,
ahead,
I got Brazil, France in the final. If we're going based on what you guys say, then I wouldn't be upset with an Argentina France final. I sure as hell wouldn't be upset with an Argentina Portugal final. Because although I would be upset from the fact that you talk about fanboys, it's going to be the most obnoxious time period leading up to that match. That oh god,
Media
it makes me
is going to be all over it. All over it.
if we get England in the final is ludicrous. Yeah. If you don't want to have a headache, you really need France to get England out of here. Very.
It's coming home.
But listen, next Wednesday we'll be back to preview the World Cup final. I can't believe it's crazy how this is going quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly.
But yet these days with no World Cup has been
They're awful.
the longest.
Awful.
Last
The
2 days
tournament
have
has
been-
gone really by really fast, but these days in between, these rest days,
Tell me about it.
I'm trying to find something to watch on TV. It's like, oh, I guess I'm watching more Home Alone and Christmas movies.
Yeah, going crazy on the Christmas movies. I hear you. So listen, next Wednesday we'll be back. World Cup final preview. We may have to see, depending on who makes the final, We might have to see if some of the other guys can join us on air. But yeah, this is Stoppage Time FC. Hey Jude, Diego Maradona, Hakimi Zach is here. This is Stoppage Time FC.